are looking east beyond the Atlantic to the Eastern Mediterranean. Key players like Cyprus, Greece, and Israel emerging as a strategic region for trade, energy, and global security. With a new U.S. administration in place, the big question now, can Americans strengthen alliances and also drive stability in a region facing serious geopolitical challenges? From massive infrastructure investments to cutting-edge tech and energy deals, there's a lot at stake. In town for the Eastern Mediterranean Business Summit in New York and here at the New York Stock Exchange to break down what's at play is Timur Turlov, CEO of Freedom Holding Corporation. So Timur, thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning. It's great to see you.
Well, first and foremost, you're in town for a conference and you're here at a time when there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to what's happening around the globe. But we all know here at the New York Stock Exchange, it's not just the only exchange, and U.S. capital markets do face a lot of competition. So give us your take on what's happening when it comes to emerging markets and not last but not least also frontier markets.
I think this integrations between markets, integration between European, Central Asian markets is extremely important, and they helps integration between US markets and European markets helps to develop European markets, and the integration between Cyprus and Kazakhstan, for example, helps to grow for Central Asian markets. We launched our business in Europe more than 10 years ago, actually, and now service almost 500,000 people in the European Union. But that's also a very important gateway for Central Asia, very important gateway finally to the United States. And I'm sure that if this market links is efficient, cheap, and very technology advanced, that helps to better absorb any shocks, any news, any capital flows. That makes even emerging markets, frontier markets, more resilient in the end of the day. And I think that's very important. And many people in Kazakhstan first time started, for example, to trade markets because we provided access to US markets for them. And then that helped to create a local market in Kazakhstan, which is also one of the biggest in Central Asia. And Cyprus played a crucial role in that, acting as a gateway to the US and helping to translate regulation from continental law to US law in the end of the day.
And at your organization, give me an understanding of what you're doing when it comes to innovation and in particular infrastructure development.
I think especially when we're talking about developing markets, it's crucially important to keep a very, very high efficiency of operations. And it's very difficult to do without fintech. So we see how digital ecosystems, big digital ecosystem is growing in Asia at this moment. In Kazakhstan, for example, the most of payments is digital at this moment. And if the most of payments in Cyprus is also becoming digital, and users of these digital banks is now trust these instruments well enough. And when commercial banks, some digital banks started to offer investment services and just allowing some additional, you can transfer money, you can get a loan, you can put a deposit, but you also can buy some stocks, some European stocks, some US stocks, some Central Asian stocks. And if they succeed finally, so they bought an Apple, Apple went up, and they trust more to the general infrastructure. That also helps to European market to grow. That also helps Central Asian markets to grow. And finally, people who just started to use digital banking for payments is transforming to investors to the global equities.
And of course, I do want to learn a little bit more about Freedom Cloud. So it is now the largest data center in Kazakhstan. So what does this mean, especially at a time when it's a challenge for multinational firms to scale? Why is this important?
I think Kazakhstan is a quite unique country. It's only investment-grade country in the region. It's only country with open capital accounts without any restrictions for capital movements, with the pretty developed capital markets in the end of the day. It's quite unique space and also good place on the map. It's nothing for Amazon, for example. We don't see any data centers between Europe and Korea. So it's a very, very big space. And Kazakhstan just in the middle of that space. So the Kazakhstan digital ecosystem is rapidly growing. So the government is very digital. Banks is very digital. It's a lot of e-commerce and they all demanding data centers. But in the end of the day, I believe that Kazakhstan could be a good place for a lot of Western companies, for companies from the United States, from Europe, who can put their outpost in Kazakhstan and use also Kazakhstan as a market to serve a very big area without any restrictions, with a free internet, with common law jurisdiction of Astana International Financial Center. And I believe that we have enough of internal demands. We may have a lot of potential external demand from hyperscalers all over the world.
And finally, Timur, before I let you go, you have a unique perspective. So what are some fintech trends that you're watching as we move forward into the rest of 2025?
I really believe that the super apps and well-integrated fintech ecosystem will continue to grow. So if you have in one app a deep integration with insurance services, with banking services, with brokerage services, you can process payments, you can order foods, you can buy airline ticket. So this ecosystem in general will be much more competitive than a lot of different standalones. And they started to collect traffic. It's a new way of competition. So if you should be part of ecosystem to survive, and if you will look to many Asian countries who had a very less legacy and much less regulation, so they already became that's already came to competition of ecosystems, not competition of standalone companies. It's very difficult to be standalone companies in many such countries. And I believe that it's sooner or later will be the future of big ecosystems, as we already see in US, like Amazon, Meta, Google create ecosystem around themselves and very difficult to compete with them outside.
Okay, Timur, well, pleasure having you here at the New York Stock Exchange. Thank you so much for joining me and thank you for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
My pleasure.